Good morning and welcome to Walk Before You Run. Today I want to look at the book of Ruth. I love this story. I love hearing about Ruth. I love her commitment, her dedication. But today we're going to talk about the love you give. The love you give. Sometimes people want to be loved, even when they're difficult to love, but they don't want to give that same love, that unconditional love, when the other person is being a little difficult to love. This story takes place throughout the book of Ruth, but we're going to just take a look at chapter 1 and then talk about the rest. Ruth 1:1 says, "Now it came to pass in the days when the judges ruled that there was a famine in the land. And a certain man of Bethlehem, Judah, went to sojourn in the country of Moab, he and his wife and his two sons. And the name, good morning, my friend. Good morning, Michelle. And the name of the man was Elimelech. And the name of his wife was Naomi. And the name of his two sons was Mahlon and Chilion, Ephrathites of Bethlehem, Judah. And they came into the country of Moab and continued there. And Elimelech, Naomi's husband, died, and she was left and her two sons. And they took them wives of the women of Moab. The names of the one was Orpha, and the name of the other Ruth. And they dwelled there about 10 years. And Mahlon and Chilion died also, both of them. And the woman was left of her two sons and her husband. Then she rose with her daughter-in-law daughters-in-law, that she might return from the country of Moab. For she had heard in the country of Moab how that the Lord had visited his people in giving them bread. Wherefore she went forth out of the place where she was, and her two daughters-in-law with her, and they went on the way to return unto the land of Judah. And Naomi said unto her two daughters-in-law, Go return, each to her mother's house, and the Lord deal kindly with you, as ye have dealt with the dead and with me. The Lord grant you that ye may find rest, each of you, in the house of her husband. Then she kissed them, and they lifted up their voices and wept. And they said unto her, Surely we will return with thee unto thy people. And Naomi said, No, turn again, my daughters. Why will ye go with me? Are there yet any more sons in my womb, that they may be your husbands? Turn again, my daughters. Go your way, for I am too old to have a husband. If I should say I have hope, if I should have a husband, also tonight, and should also bear sons, would ye tarry for them till they were grown? Would ye stay for them from having husbands? Nay, my daughters, for it grieveth me much for your sake, that the hand of the Lord is gone out against me. And they lifted up their voices and wept again, and Orpha kissed her mother-in-law. But Ruth clave unto her, and she said, Behold, thy sister-in-law is gone back unto her people and unto her gods. Return thou after thy sister-in-law. And Ruth said, Entreat me not to leave thee, or to return from following after thee. For whither thou goest, I will go, and where thou lodgest, I will lodge. Thy people shall be my people, and thy God, my God. I want to stop right there. This is such a beautiful story because of the love that Ruth was willing to give to Naomi. Now, this all happened during the time of Judges, and there was a famine in the land, like the scripture said. And Elimelech had taken his family and they had gone to Moab from Judah. And Ruth was a Moabite, and so was Orpha. And they were from the family of Light because the Moabites were from Moab, and Moab was the son of Lot. And that's another story for another time. But so they had been told, the Israelites had been told to not mix with other groups of people who did not love the Lord their God. And as we were reading, I know you heard where it said, go back to your people and to your gods. Because in Moab, they were worshiping idol gods. And so Naomi entreats her daughters-in-law and tell them, go back to your home so that you can have hope because I'm old. It's not like I can have any more babies. Even if I could find a husband and get married now and have a baby tonight, are you going to stay with me, you know, 20 more years until he is of age so that he can be a father to your children? No, go back to your families and see if your families can help you, if God will be kind to you and allow you to find a husband among your people. And at first, they both cried. If you remember in verse 9, the latter part, it says, and they lifted up their voice and wept. So all three of them were crying, I guess, for the situation they found themselves in, and then crying because, you see where you are and you don't know where you're going. And so, good morning, my love. And so they wept, and that lets me know that they both had love for Naomi. Naomi must have been a caring mother-in-law, a kind soul and a God-fearing woman. And so they both had love for her. But when Orpha thought about her circumstances and thought about, you have a point. If I stay, even if you have a baby tonight, that's a long time to wait to have a husband. And then how are we going to fare? How are we going to make ends meet, without the men in our lives to take care of us? So I can imagine she counted the cost and decided that she loved Naomi, but not that much. And so she went back home. But Ruth, in verse 14, it said, but Ruth clave. And that means she was holding on, for dear life, saying, you know what? I'm going where you go. You starve, I starve. You eat, I eat. I'm going with you. And the best part is in verse 16, where it says, uh, for whither thou goest, I will go. And where thou lodgest, where you stay, where you sleep, I'm sleeping. You sleep outside, under the clouds, under the stars, I'm sleeping outside, under the stars, under the clouds. You sleep in a cave, I'm sleeping in a cave. You eat wild dandelions for breakfast, I'm eating wild dandelions for breakfast. So where you go, I'm going. What you eat, I eat, because Ruth is telling her, I saw something in you. I know in my country we serve a lot of idol gods, but I saw something in you. I see something in you. The love that you had for your family, the love you have for me, and the love you have for God. And so Ruth saw something and she was like, what I came from is not worth going back to. No, where you go, I'm going. Because that last part says, thou people shall be my people, and thy God, my God. She had seen obviously what God had done for them. And so she wanted that Naomi possessed. And when you give that kind of love, it's gonna come back to you. It's going to come back. And so I see this love being given two ways. Naomi had love for her daughter-in-laws. Yes, times would have been better for Naomi if her daughter-in-laws were there with her, because she said she was older. And so these young ladies were probably stronger, more fit, could do more, and they could help her. But she loved them so much, she wanted better for them, wanted more for them. And so, the love that you give, you're going to get it back. And the word tells us that God first loved us before we even had the sense to love him. Naomi was willing to go it alone so that her daughter in laws might have a chance to be taken care of by their families. Maybe some of their kinsmen might have um, become their husbands, but they would not return at first. And so I love the fact that Ruth, she counted the cost, but the cost was worth it. And if you read on in Ruth, I'm not going to tell you about it. I want you to read it for yourself. But if you read the rest of Ruth, you will see that the love she gave came back to her. And it's something about when you're a loving person, when you give love, people, when they meet you, they already know that there's love in there. And so uh, when you are so full of love, love will go ahead of you to prepare the way, and love will be behind you to make sure that nothing sneaks up on you. And even if something sneaks up on you, the love of God has you and will take care of you and will keep you. If you trust him and not doubt, he will be faithful to keep you. My friend said Ruth was the woman who rose from obscurity to riches. Yes, she did. Yes, she did. And I'm not going to tell you guys. My friend is letting me know she already read about her. And I'm not telling you the rest of it. I want you to read it for yourself. It is good. It's worth coming back and talking about again. So I might be back talking about Ruth one more time because it's a beautiful story. And I'm so glad that that Michelle encouraged me to spotlight the women in the Bible, because I tell you, if you're looking for a shero, there's some in here to be a shero for you, because I tell you, God works through all mankind, and He worked through Ruth to show that the love you give will make a way, will break a path for you, and will take care of you, to go ahead of you, to prepare for your coming. And that's what Ruth's love did for her. The love not only for her mother-in-law, not only for her sister-in-law, not only for her husband, but the love she had for God. And when you love God first, he has some good stuff in store for you down the road. And the journey might be rough, because Ruth and Naomi's journey as they were going back to Judah, it was not a piece of cake, but God smoothed the rocky places for you sometimes when you let that love flow, because God says that the world will know that we belong to Him, that we are His children, when they see the love that we have one for another. And so even the world that was 2,000 years later, more than 2,000 years later, could see the love that Ruth possessed. So I'm encouraging you to think about the love you give. Don't worry about it coming back, because my God, who sees you do things uh, in secret, will reward you openly. And so don't love to get something. Just love because it's in there, it's overflowing, and you can't hold it back. And so I admonish you to show that love even to those people who are unlovable, because sometimes we are unlovable, but God does not stop his love from flowing to us. I'll see you next time. Remember to walk before you run. Walk through the word of God before you run. And always, always remember that you are blessed to be a blessing. I'll see you next time. Thank you.